Hey coaches, today I want to dive into a real world coaching scenario that I bet many of you have actually encountered, and that's just that dreaded fat loss plateau. So, you know the one, your client is doing everything right and they're hitting their workouts, they're following your program, but the scale just isn't budging, or we saw steady progress and now we're just pretty stagnant with our fat loss. This is exactly where CoachRx's new lifestyles, trends, and insights feature becomes your secret weapon. So, I want to walk you through how to use this data to break through plateaus and get your clients moving forward again. So, here's what we're working with this client scenario. So, this client has been crushing her training program for the past 3 months. We've seen steady progress with consistent fat loss, but recently we have seen her stuck at that same weight. She's frustrated. You're puzzled because when you look at her training compliance, it's nearly perfect. Like she's showing up, she's hitting her sessions, she's doing it with the proper intent and intensity for that specific workout and that program. And she's just executing it exactly as you wanted. So, this is where most coaches might jump to, let's say, the usual suspects. Let's drop your calories, or maybe we need to up your training volume. But before we make those changes, let's get into the platform and look at what the data is actually telling us. All right, so now that we're in the platform, I want to navigate to the client's lifestyle and trends feature. This can be found by getting into the client calendar, clicking this lifestyle and trends icon, and then it will pull up your lifestyle and trends dashboard. So, what I'm noticing immediately as I get into this client's lifestyle and trends is that her movement, her daily activity, and her steps has dropped pretty drastically this week. So we can see that this is probably the reason why we're starting to see a plateau in her fat loss. What I can do is I can go week view and we can start to look at the trends over time here. So we can see that we had pretty low daily movement, activity time, as well as steps. But this is about the time where we started to increase some of this. So she was doing better at going for daily walks, increasing her daily movement. And we can see that we were getting up to around 8 to now 9,000 steps per week or per day. And now we can see this is slowly declining again. So we have, I mean, even just from last week to this week, we have a 42% drop in her daily movement. So this is huge. This is when we start talking about NEAT or your non exercise activity thermogenesis. This is all the movement that happens outside of structured workouts. So walking to your car, taking the stairs, just standing while you work, all of it. And research does show that NEAT can account for anywhere from 15 to 30% of your total daily energy expenditure. So, what happened here? So, I was digging in with this client, and what we've noticed is that there's been some changes at work. She's had some changes in management and company shifts, and so her workload has increased. So, she's spending more time behind the computer. She's able to get in and hit her workouts, but then she's going right back home and getting behind the computer again to work. So her work has increased, which has decreased her ability to focus on getting out some outside movement. So the beauty of having this data not only allows me to see what's really happening behind the scenes and not just jump to conclusions of, okay, we need to cut calories. We need to make sure that we are maybe increasing training volume. This just shows me what's really happening. And then it also allows us to have this conversation, coach and client, to really understand, okay, this may be why we're seeing this plateau here in fat loss. So here's how we're going to fix this. I'm not going to just drastically drop her calories and hope that she isn't starving all the time. I'm not going to increase her training volume because the program that she has right now is working and is beneficial for her and her goals. But what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on closing this activity gap. So I'm going to re-prescribe some lifestyle habits for Sarah, and I can do that directly in the lifestyle um, calendar. And what we can do is what I'm seeing right now is we have drastically decreased from averaging 8 to 10K to getting down to under 8K. And now we're even under 6K. So I'm not going to jump straight back up to 8 to 10K daily. I might have to gradually increase this because now she's starting to have to work with a busier season of life. So getting into this client's calendar, we can go over to lifestyle. And what I'm going to do is add a lifestyle prescription. We're going to go down here to steps. And because right now we're consistently hitting under 6,000, I'm going to set this to 6,000 or more. And we're going to track this for about 1 to 2 weeks. So I'm going to set this daily for 2 weeks, and I'm going to save this. And then we're going to reassess this. I'll probably start reassessing this midweek, check back in, see where we are. And if we're consistently hitting 80% or more of these 6K or more steps, then we will gradually increase this maybe to 7K and then 8K. Maybe she just starts hitting it out of the park and we jump to 8K, then we can move this even further along. So without this training or the lifestyle and trends feature and the data that I'm now receiving from this new feature inside CoachRx, I easily could have made this client's training stress or increased her training stress because I could have just made her life harder by cutting calories, increasing training volume, and when she was already in a stressful season of life. So this data just really allowed me to dig into a solution that is not going to add any more added stress, and just help her restore that daily movement to where it was when she was seeing that consistent progress. And this is what we mean when we talk about creating autonomous clients. We're not just telling them to move more, we're actually showing them the data that, hey, we're seeing steady progress, we're seeing consistent fat loss. All of a sudden, now we see a plateau, and look what's happening. Your trends are trending down for movement. So it's just giving the clients specific measurable targets that they can work towards. And then this is how you build that long term behavior change with your clients. So I want you to dig into your data this week and see if you can help your clients identify trends that are going to help them with their training programs.